Morning, everyone. Nora, are you back online with us?
I am indeed. It's a pleasure to be here today, Adrian.
Oh, great. Well, listen, we've got a couple of people joining, still joining, but it's coming up to 11 o'clock and I don't want to keep everyone who's already signed in waiting. So we'll kick off and just to say good morning and thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And especially when the world has gone coronavirus crazy, it's lovely to see so many of you still keen on learning about how to make those precious guests that we have even happier. I'd like to welcome Nora Dowds, who will be today's host. And Nora has a great pedigree, a seasoned hotelier working in senior management roles in several hotels throughout her career. Nora now manages her own consultancy business, Pod Consulting. Now, Pod specialises in delivering training and personal development, and that's all aimed at making our guest experience the very best that it can be. I'm not going to steal any more of Nora's thunder, as I know she'd like to introduce herself. So welcome, Nora, and we're delighted to learn lots from you today.
Thank you very much, Adrian. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you very much for asking me to talk to you and to your audience about personalisation and how if we personalise our guest days, this can have a major impact on our businesses and its profitability. So, personalisation. What does personalisation actually mean? Personalisation is whenever we see every single one of our customers coming in through our property and how we can use that to create exceptional customer experiences. Maya Angelou said, "I have learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel." I went to stay in a lovely hotel, a country house hotel, 3-star recently, and myself and my husband, were going for one night. We arrived to the property. It was a lovely summer's day. The sun was shining. The property looked beautiful. We parked up. We walked towards the building. We thought, this is great. We're going to have a wonderful experience here. Walked in through the front door and we were greeted by the receptionist. He was perfectly friendly, but the check-in process was done within 2.5 minutes. They started to ring alarm bells for me. We continued through the property. Before we knew it, we were up the stairs, didn't know where the bar was, didn't know where the restaurant was. But we continued on. We went to our bedroom. We came down to the bar later on. We went to the restaurant. We enjoyed a lovely meal, but again, the service was just lacking. This is a property which had a lot of money spent on it. The owners had obviously spent a lot of money in the refurbishment, but unfortunately, the service that was offered by the staff did not match the quality of the product. And we left that property feeling really disappointed because for me, it's the personal contact with the people and with the staff who are there to create the excellent customer experiences that is so important. So who cares anyway? We are in business ultimately to run businesses we can be proud of, but also so we can be profitable. If businesses that actually focus on personalization and enhancing the CX, the customer experience, will reap the benefits, you will be making a very good business decision. Who cares? Consumers who made an additional purchase from a company after a positive service experience, it was 52%. So great customer experiences help to build customer retention. 64% of consumers find customer service more important than price. Whenever you have actually built the trust with your customer, where they know that they can trust you and your brand and your team to deliver the quality service that they want or that they expect from your product, they will pay more money for it. 48% higher revenues are enjoyed by the companies that excel at customer experiences compared to your competitors in your market. And indeed, you can potentially increase the profitability of your company. Now, based on statistics, this can be anything from 25% to up to 75% with just a 5% increase in customer retention. So paying attention to your customer experience and a great CX is key to your business profitability. So what is the CX, or the customer experience, I like to call it, it's the CX. This is a term that is borrowed from the world of software, but I think it's very applicable to hospitality and to our properties because our customer experience starts long before our customer actually gets to our premises. How you advertise to your customer, your website and how the booking process goes, the sales process, is it laborious, is it easy, can they book easily with the price and with what's included in it? When they arrive to your property, how is the presentation of the property? Is it clean? Does it have great first impressions? when they come into your property, how is the product delivery, how is the atmosphere, and how is the service that is delivered by you and your team. Remember, it's not the interaction our people have with the guests, it's everything the customer experiences, every interaction that they have with the brand. Then we go into the CX journey, otherwise known, I understand, as a customer journey, but it's the CX, it's the customer experience journey. So this starts whenever they actually start to research your property. And we heard from Nigel and Frank in the last webinar just about how we personalize for our guests before they come to the property. So this would be through the research and through the booking process. Then they arrive to our hotel. And this is where you and your people can have a major impact on each customer and their experience. So from the check-in through to maybe using the restaurant, maybe visiting your bar, having breakfast, the checkout, the farewell with your customer, and also then whether they want to leave feedback. Whenever you think about it, how many interactions will you and your team have with your customer throughout this CX journey? It could be little as maybe 2 to 3, or it could be as much as 20 interactions. And every single one of those interactions should be treated as an opportunity to wow your customer. So how do you do that? So if we look at the 4 Ps of the CX, we have the physical. This is your actual property. This is your bedrooms. This is your bar. This is your restaurant. This is your spa. Then we have the people, who are a big asset, and these are the people who can deliver excellent customer experiences. But there's also the process, the how we do it, the why we do it. And it's great for our people to understand what the processes are and how these can feed into providing great customer experiences every time. Then we have the product. We actually want to deliver a great product via the physical, but also just whenever it comes to food and drink, that the bedroom is clean, that all of the experience that the customer will have, it's a quality product that ties in with the physical, the people, and the process. By truly understanding your customer and their needs, you can start to create exceptional experiences. I think
sorry, can I just ask that? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Certainly.
But on this sort of understanding your customer and understanding what their experiences are, do you have any tips on how you're actually getting out of the trap of being all things to all people and actually understanding your customer, so that you can start to create those exceptional experiences?
Yes, that's a great question, Adrian. Many times I'll sit down with clients and I will say to them, so who is your customer? Who is your key target market? And sometimes that can sound a bit high level, but essentially, who's the customer that comes in regularly through your door? Whenever we deliver training, we will always sit with the delegates and we will ask them, who's your typical customer? What do they look like? What age are they? Where do they come from? So you need to, I think it's key to understand who your customer is. Are you a business focused property? Is it solely leisure that you offer experiences at the leisure guests? Is it a family hotel that you have? So you need to understand what your customer is, who they are, what their needs are, and then you can start to tailor the experience that they will have at your property to creating those exceptional experiences.
Yeah, I completely agree, Nora, because I think sometimes you can go down that rabbit hole of trying to be absolutely everything and putting family breaks on when you're actually a romantic hotel or vice versa. So I think that's really good advice. Just understand who your customers are and try and make sure that you're getting that experience from start to finish. I'm going to let you go on now. Apologies.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But I think it's key, if you know who your market is, work towards that and do it really well, and you will be rewarded with more business. So I think that that's the key. So whenever we talk about that, we understanding what the expectations are. If you decide that we are going to be family focused, you need to make sure that you actually have things there for families. You need to make sure that you have the family bedrooms, that you have children's menus, and please with healthy options, not just the usual unhealthy options. We want healthy options for the children. It needs to be focused for the children because the adults are there to enjoy the experience, but they want to know that their kids are looked after. So colouring books, Lego, reading books, staff who will engage with the children. Something as simple as whenever you welcome the parents in, you hunker down, you talk to the kids. Making sure that you have a stock of items for the children, cots, bottle warmers, blankets, baby essentials, changing mats. These are things that can be held in storage. You can bring them out whenever you need. Potentially the provision of supervised crash activities and kids clubs. Now I understand that will take more staff there would be more staff required for that. But again, if you're going to focus to be a family-friendly hotel, do it really well, build your business on that. And make sure then that you have some details of family activities in the local area. Because remember, the customer experience is not all about their experience at your property, it's also the experiences that they have in the local area during that stay. So indeed, if you decide, okay, we are focused on corporate guests, we are a business hotel, make sure then that you tailor your stay to what that guest will expect and what they need. So they want an easy, fast check-in and check-out, potentially with personalized technology. While we do talk about personalization and conversation, we need to be able to tailor to our customer. And sometimes the corporate guest just wants to get checked in quickly, know where the room is so they can get on with what they have to do. But certainly then they need free and fast Wi-Fi. Nothing worse than having wonderful free Wi-Fi, but it's actually not very good and you can't work with it. They also look for plenty of power sockets in the bedroom, potentially access to meeting rooms. When we have so many freelancers these days, having that access to a meeting room would be a great bonus. Indeed, just the basics, a good power shower with plenty of hot water. Healthy options on food and drinks menus. One of the things that I'm seeing a lot is the new and low menus for drinks, where whenever you're traveling for business, you don't always want to be drinking alcohol. So I think that that's a good thing to look at, healthy options in food. And potentially access to a fitness suite or a local gym. You can always partner up with a local gym. They're always going to be looking for business and it would be an added extra for your customer. And female-friendly hotels. I don't think necessarily that this would be something where we have one hotel or your property just becomes focused on females. All properties should be female-friendly properties. So this would be looking at your staff training. So safety first, have a discreet check-in process, bedroom locations, maybe group bedrooms together where the women can be located. Extra toiletries are such a godsend. So conditioner, maybe antiperspirant with our limited being able to take things on a flight. It's great to be able to have those extras, maybe even makeup remover. And above all, please put in a good hairdryer and a mirror with good lighting for makeup close to a power socket. So these are basic things that females look for. And again, with all of these customers, it's put yourself in their shoes. What would you like if you were that customer coming into your property? Out of country visitors. So they would be looking for extensive tourism information, leaflets, tour recommendations, left luggage facilities. There's nothing worse than your flight being at 7 or 8 in the evening and you've nowhere to leave your luggage. And potentially access to charging facilities even after you have left, the customer has checked out of your property, and also maybe changing facilities. Always having travel details easy to hand, easy to understand maps, multi-language information, complimentary early check-in and check-out if that's a possibility, again, according to your business and your policies. So that's where we actually look at who's the customer coming in and how do you tailor what you offer to your customer to be able to enhance customer experience. But if we come back and think, okay, so what is the customer experience and how can you and your people actually deliver a great experience every single time? So again, as we talked about, you have the physical, we've talked about the product and how you tailor it to your target markets. And also then we have the people and the process. But I think when it comes to service, we then need to go back to basics.
Sorry, Nora, I didn't mean to click your screen on there.
No problem.
I'm trying to do two things.
It's wonderful. Everything's moving fast along. What it is it's going back to basics. And for me, this is important. How many times have you walked into a shop or into a hotel or into a bar or into anywhere that there's a service being provided and no one has acknowledged you, no one has looked towards you and you've had to wait? We need to go back to basics. We need to be able to tell our staff and to do it ourselves where we have eye contact with our guests. Whenever someone comes in and maybe you're busy with the guest, lift your head up, acknowledge them, keep doing what you're doing, but it's about starting to build trust with your customer. Smiling. This is such an important thing. We're on stage in hospitality. We must smile at each other whenever we're working with colleagues, but also then, and more importantly, with our guests. And conversation. It's all about the art of conversation because conversation makes you, helps you and your team to build trust with your customer. But what it also does is an opportunity for us to be able to pick up the needs and wants and expectations of our customers so we can actually start to sell to them, whether it's our own products and our own services and our properties, or certainly things in the local area, which again will all enhance the customer experience. So if we talk about service basics would be friendliness, eye contact. I think that these are really important because before we even open our mouths to talk to our guests, we're already picking up a lot through our body language and our verbal cues, non-verbal cues. So I think, again, eye contact, smiles, friendliness, we are here because we are people in hospitality. Eye contact is key. Then we talk about conversation. As I have mentioned, conversation is really a key part of picking up the cues from your customers of what they would like to do whenever they arrive to your property. Have they plans for the evening? Maybe they would like to book in your hotel restaurant. And why are they there? Is it for a special occasion? Are they visiting friends and family? Do they need to know about the area? These are all ways that you can pick up cues from your customers so that you can actually deliver to be able to enhance their experience. Again, a number of months ago, my husband and I went to stay in a hotel. We drove 3 hours there. We unfortunately used Google Maps and I was the navigator. So we ended up going through a few minor roads instead of keeping the major roads, but we arrived to the property quite fraught. And we thought, okay, at least we've arrived now, we can get checked in and we can get settled and enjoy the stay. We walked into reception. Again, a very limited interaction with the receptionist who didn't even bother to stand up during the interaction with us. We went up to our room, which was fine, and we thought, okay, we're going to go down to the bar, we're going to have a bite to eat. At this stage, we were certainly not wowed. At this stage, our moods had not changed. But we walked into the bar and we ordered a drink, and at this point, the bar person actually struck up a conversation with us. Well, number one, she put up 2 lovely drinks that were poured well with beer mats and put them on the bar and served them in a lovely way. And then she started a conversation with us. She just started chatting. And for me, that was a turnaround moment where we had a bit of a fraught journey. The check-in hadn't been wonderful and our room hadn't necessarily lived up to expectations. But that was where we started to feel that she saw us as valued customers. She started to have the conversation, and then she was able to talk about the local town, what we should do later, what we should do the next day. So it's important to be able to glean the key information from conversation to help you and your team upsell and cross-sell across your hotel services.
Nora, can I just stop you and just on that conversation and just ask you very quickly, because working in hotels a lot myself, sometimes I go into hotels, the branded properties tend to have, their kind of script, as in this is what you need to say, and you need to get all of these 10 things across to a customer before you let them leave the reception desk. And I've often spoke to receptionists who say they find that very difficult because sometimes people don't want to hear absolutely everything. But what are your thoughts on either that conversation being scripted, or should you allow your team to use their own flair, and sort of what about local nuances and language? So as an example, in Ireland, we use the word we a lot, have a wee seat, would you like a wee drink, are you enjoying your, and sometimes that can be off-putting to people as well. I just wondered what your thoughts are, with your experience of working with reception teams. Where does that line start and stop? And how do we make it personal and unique without being sort of too over the top and too scripted, but still people information?
Yeah, we definitely don't want to be robots. And I feel that sometimes with a script, there can be a feeling of it's just going through each step by step by step. I think it's how we approach scripts. I'm actually a fan of scripts, and I think that we should have a script there for a check-in process, but it should be a framework. It should be something that we weave our personalities around. And I think that that's key. Where, I've said we're in hospitality, we are people. We enjoy interacting with the public. And again, I think it comes back to who's the customer in front of you. Do you have a customer who wants to know everything there is about your property? They want to know everything about the local area? They have 4 days that they're staying with you and they want to know everything. Versus maybe a business guest who just wants to get it checked in. They have been there before, they know the whole spiel, and it's about understanding. You have a script, but tailoring it to the guest. And I think when it comes to scripts, a good way to make sure that it doesn't become robotic is to do role plays with your team. Bit of training with them, come up with scenarios and get them to say, okay, this is a script, but let's just weave your personality around that. So you start to practice it. Role plays are brilliant. They can be excruciatingly embarrassing whenever you do it in front of your colleagues. If you can do it in front of your colleagues, you can do it with anyone. So it's about being able to practice making that script natural. When it comes to colloquialisms and saying we, or using words that are, in the local language that are used all the time, I think we also need to be conscious of the language that we use. I have a phone to make a booking and someone has used we at the end of every single sentence where it becomes really noticeable. So I think it's important for us to be able to look at that and make sure that we are not overusing it. And remember, who is our audience? Who is our customer? And are we looking at Apple Music now?
All right, so my laptop has just had a life of its own there for some reason. Apologies, Nora. It's lit. I'm not even touching anything. It's just
No
gone
problem.
off on its own.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Technology is wonderful.
Yes, technology is wonderful when it works. But I think that's the key. I think colloquialisms, again, I've spoken to staff and they say, but people love the way we talk. Yes, but as long as they can understand exactly what you're saying to them. So I think that, yes, scripts are good, but weave your personality around it and just tailor your language depending on who your audience is. I think that's the key. With the conversation, who are you talking to? Who is the customer? What are their expectations and their needs? Oh, let me just see if I can skip on here, maybe, Adrian. You can skip on to the next slide. Certainly. Okay, so efficiency and timing, something we're working on here. Very hard. So efficiency and timing, this would be back to the process and how we do things. So efficiency is being able to do it in the right time. And again, this comes back to the customer at check-in. Are they someone who wants a long, lengthy check-in process where there's great conversation versus someone who just wants the basic details, give me my key card to get into my room and move on? And again, if I go back to the example where the receptionist took 2.5 minutes to do a check-in, that's not what I was looking for that day. And for me, that was something where that was not a good experience. So we need to know what the process is, potentially what the script is, do it with efficiency, but also with personality, with friendliness, and with good timing. Then empathy and problem solving. So it's with empathy, we talk about, I think it's good for teams, and whenever we do training, it's two of the things that we do focus on would be emotional intelligence. So helping them understand how they feel at that moment and how the customer feels at that moment, which really helps whenever it comes to complaint handling. Of course, no one likes to deal with complaints, and where possible, we should preempt and make sure we never have any complaints. But where we do, we should empower our teams to be able to handle them really well. And I think that that's where we should encourage our team to be problem solvers and to try and solve problems before they become major complaints. So we've covered the basics. So then whenever we talk about CX innovation, this is how we can do things better, how we can maybe introduce new processes into our existing processes, overall to improve the CX for our customers. So effective communication. And I think this is key. And I think that we're all guilty in hospitality sometimes of becoming entrenched in our departments and not working effectively within the hotel whenever it comes to communication, never mind then with our customer. So effective communication among the team is key. So with good handovers, making sure that we know what's coming up in that day, making sure that we have a good relationship with the housekeeping department, with potentially the concierge, so with other departments, so we can all work together collaboratively. Also using the tools at hand. So it's using your property management system, being able to see what guests do we have coming in today? Have they stayed with us before? What type of rooms have they booked? Which will give an indication of maybe if it's a couple, they're coming for a romantic weekend versus 3 twin rooms, it's a group of friends coming for a different experience. So we should always look and use the tools that we have at hand to give us as much information as possible. Again, body language. It's back to basics here. Make sure that you stand up to welcome your guests. Make sure that you stand up to show that you care, that you're engaged with them. Again, open body language, good eye contact, smiling the whole way through. And then the next would be to use your guest name. I have a lovely local restaurant that I go to regularly, and we love it. The food is excellent. It is always consistently good, and the service is good. We always book because sometimes it can be hard to get into. So they always get our name. And despite the fact that we have been going there now for about 4 years, they never use my name. And I just would love it one of these days whenever I walk in, they say, hello, Nora, welcome back. These are simple things which makes your customer feel special. So it's being able to use the customer name. Another thing is that I sometimes do mystery shopping. And in every single mystery shopping report, in every single part with an interaction with the customer service representative or the receptionist, they will ask, did they get your name and did they use it more than twice? So this is actually a really important element. And again, it's how the customer feels. They feel seen and they feel valued. Then the conversation, we've already talked about that. What do you learn from the customer and from the conversation? And how can you use that then to upsell your product? And within that, then your team need to know the product. They need to know what's on offer within the property, what menus are on offer, what bars are open when, what time do we serve in the restaurant until, and what room service is available. So these are key elements. There's nothing worse than being told, oh yes, you can go through to a restaurant and get something to eat, and actually the restaurant closed half an hour ago. So it's key that the team know exactly what's on offer when, and treat everyone as a VIP. And I mean everyone. All of our customers are valued customers, and every single one of those customers is a potential to become a repeat customer. And as we all know, customer retention is key to be able to develop your profitability. Now, again, innovation sounds like it needs to be really complicated. It doesn't. There was a hotel that I went to stay in Northern Ireland, 4-star hotel with a good reputation. So I arrived with high expectations. The check-in was wonderful, really good interaction with the team there. And we got checked into a room, beautiful room, thought this is great, we'll have a great time, hung out for a couple of hours and we decided we'll go down for dinner. Now we hadn't booked the restaurant, but we decided to go down and see if there was a table available. So we walked a short distance past reception on down to the restaurant. And as we approached the restaurant host, he looked up, gave us a great smile and said, hello, Mr. and Mrs. Dowds. And for me, that was a wow moment because I thought, how did he know? He hasn't saw us. We've only been here a couple of hours and we didn't leave our room. So somewhere, someone cared enough to be able to communicate to that host, Mr. and Mrs. Dowds from room such and such, on their way down to the restaurant. And for me, that was a wow moment. So these are small things. How do we think about the journey of our customer journey? How can we create those small moments which give a big wow factor, which are innovative, and ultimately feed into a great customer experience? So practically, how can you take steps to take action, implement innovation within your customer experience, and ultimately to measure the results so you can see the impact of all of the work that you could potentially do with your team, and also looking at the physical product. So I think it's a good point is to start, okay, so where are we now? Assess the current position, look at your online review metrics across all of your sites. And also, if you do have an in-house feedback collection point, have a look at that too. There's many systems you can get out there which will be able to collate all of your information to be able to see where's our current position. So assess your customer feedback. And again, that might just be going and talking to some of your regular guests to say, how was your stay? What did you enjoy? What could we do better? Your customers know your product. See things from their point of view. So assess the customer feedback. Look at your common complaints, talk to your team. They will know what the common complaints are. Make a long list. Potentially look at mystery shopping, and that will assess the team performance so they can get a score now. Again, it's about measuring. So with the review metrics, we can get a score, say it's 8.8. The mystery shopping could be sitting at about 72%. You also remember review your processes. What is the check-in process? Do we have scripts? Is there any unnecessary steps? Maybe someone has to stand and put their credit card details in and so forth. Sales by department, what upsells are there and where you can actually grow. So upsells, what are the upsells in each department and the current upsells by department. So you're getting your starting position. Then you want to sit down with your team and agree the team goals. So your goals could be, if you're sitting at 8.8 in your review metrics, we want to move to 9%. Now you could say, well, we want to move to 9.5%. But is that attainable? So with a SMART goal, it should be specific, it should be measurable, attainable, relevant, and time limited. So again, you want to be able to say, within a month's time, we want to move up to this level. So it's been able to look at your your reviews, being able to look at the feedback, and again, being able to look at your upsells, being able to look at the sales by department. So there's different ways to measure all of this. Then you need to be able to develop your action plan. So sit down with the team. What changes do you need to make? Develop the action plan. What's going to be done when? Look at roles and responsibilities. Who is responsible? Is it everybody? Is there someone responsible for tracking the changes as they happen? Setting the targets and the review dates. So again, it's time limited. So if we look at this in another month's time, in 2 months' time, 3 months' time. Definitely look at your team meetings, how regular they are. Don't have meetings for the sake of having meetings, but good communication is key to being able to move a team towards greater success. And implement the training as required. Look at your mystery shopping reports. Is there any areas of weakness that you need to work on with your team? Improve communication as necessary. Make the physical changes to your product. So if you decide, okay, we want to focus more on our business guest, go through what are the practical things that they need and what they want. And again, manage your customer expectations. Review what you say on your website. Review what you say on your OTAs so that your customers have a realistic expectation of your property. It is always better to under-promise and over-deliver than to have things on your website where they have an expectation of, but actually it's not there when they arrive to your property. And the key is communicate the plan and the targets to your team. If possible, put up a whiteboard somewhere in your staff areas and be able to say, this is our current position, this is our target. And as you start to achieve that, make sure that you update so people are able to see that what they're doing is gaining results and it has momentum to keep everyone enthusiastic and motivated to keep doing what they're doing. Then you need to track the results. So to measure your results and see the outcome of all of the hard work. So online review metrics, have they gone up or down? Hopefully they will always have gone up. But again, keep on looking at your feedback. Keep on looking to see what can we improve on. Good feedback is always wonderful. We always want to get that pat on the shoulder. But actually, I love negative feedback because it shows me where I can improve. And we should always be doing that in our businesses. How can we improve? Negative feedback should not always be seen as something that should be avoided. We should embrace it and we should use it to improve our businesses. Sales growth. So we should definitely be able to see direct sales. Yes, we want to improve our customer experience, but this is so our sales will grow, that our upsales will grow, and above all, our profitability of our businesses will grow. Tracking upsales. Look at incentive schemes, and put a bit of thought into how do we actually track this? How do we measure it? But again, there's lots of different technology out there that should be used to be able to track the upsells and who does what. Again, create a wee bit of competition, and whenever someone is incentivized, it's who won this month. Again, these are all things that will feed into the momentum and the team spirit. Mystery shopping. So after a period of 3 to 6 months, do another mystery shop to see has performance improved. And again, looking at staff engagement and retention. So I think sometimes as you do these sort of action plans and training with your team, this encourages staff motivation and will hopefully improve retention. So start tracking your staff retention rates to see whether the training that goes on and this team spirit that is being built, which ultimately benefits the business, how that will have an impact on staff retention. And again, feedback to the team. Make sure that that's ongoing and reward good performance whenever it is required. And again, then at the end of that action plan, review it and reset. Do it all again. Keep doing it. And ultimately, that will feed into the business success. So thank you very much. That brings me to the end of my talk today about personalisation. Again, for me, I am really keen for businesses to look at their CX, the customer experience, so that you can improve your business performance and improve your team performance. But I really appreciate the opportunity today, Adrian. Thank you all for listening. I hope that you are able to take some of these actions away and implement them within your property. And again, Adrian, thank you very much for having me today. It's been a great pleasure.
No, you're very welcome, Nora. We've just put a little slide here at the end just to tell people a little bit more about you and your organisation and the kind of things that you can deliver, which I'm sure everyone would absolutely benefit from. I suppose my key takeaways today, apart from my computer decided to do an update and for some reason show everyone my Apple Music, which I don't even have, but anyway. But my key takeaways were sort of know your guests and align not only your product but your service delivery with that. And I think that's really key, is a really good starting point. And I think throughout all of your slides, what came through to me was communication, not just with your guests, but within your team. So again, I'm a big advocate of, and anyone who's listened to these podcasts before, webinars before, will understand that I hate that working in silos. So communicating throughout your teams and making sure that communication then kind of goes further out into your customers. So I think that was really key point for me today. And making sure that those goals are measurable and that you track and you keep coming back and revisiting, because I suppose what all of us want to do is make sure that we're bringing that service delivery further down a road, and making sure that we're sort of tracking at each point. So I think, Nora, there's been some great points on that. I'm just going to say a massive thank you. Everyone, I will make sure that this is condensed down a little bit and put out on our YouTube channel today, and it will be sent out to everyone so that you can share with your teams. I think actually, let me just double check, because I think we might have one question more. Let me just see if I can lift this up. Yeah, so no, everyone is, that's fine. And again, just if anyone is interested in sort of any more contact, we have our blog and obviously our WhatsApp group, which I think most of you know of. But listen, Nora, thank you so much for everything today. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you doing the webinar today, and hopefully talk to you soon. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you very much.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.